Okay, so we are in episode 6 now, and I just launched and realized, oh no, we don't have enough Delta V or fuel to get out to the lunar space station, refuel it, so I'm going to add some solid rocket boosters to the assembly here, to the first stage, and we'll try again. And I sped this footage up because by now you're getting the hang of getting to orbit, so we're just going to follow the same principle. And you can see we have a ginormous fairing again. So you can see it got a little bit wobbly there, so I had to actually reduce the gimbal effect of the motors so that we wouldn't wobble so much that we broke apart. And you can see we spent the fuel in the first stage and jettisoned the first stage and got to orbit with our second stage. And we still have 1,300 meters a second of fuel in our second stage, so we're going to use that to take the whole assembly initially out to the space station, and then we're going to detach the second stage and deorbit it. But I believe the deorbiting of the second stage will be in episode 7. So for now we're just going to set up our prograde burn to raise our ellipse at a 90-degree angle from where the moon is now, so that as we get up to the moon's orbital height above planet Kerbin, the moon will also meet us in that location. Oops, and I burned a little bit too much, so I'm going to have to turn around to the retrograde and gently slow us down so we get to the right location at the right time. So now we've switched to the second stage. You can see that its orbit doesn't get as high, but up at that location we're going to do a retro burn to bring it to a stop so it falls back to Earth and burns up and disintegrates. And I realized that I ran out of electric charge, so now that ship is pretty much dead in the water. So here we are coming up on our lunar encounter. We see that the periapsis is way out far away from the moon, so I'm going to face radial in and burn a little bit, and we're going to try and bring the periapsis even with the altitude of the lunar space station. And from that point we will circularize, but we will circularize so our apoapsis is a little bit above where the lunar station's orbit is. So that way we have to travel, every time we orbit, we have to travel more distance than the lunar station does, so that since it's behind us in orbit, it will slowly catch up to us, eventually leading to a rendezvous. So you can see as we come around, it catches up a little bit with one orbit. Oh, and then I realized, oh no, our inclination is off. So we're going to face upwards and do a burn to bring our teal line up parallel with the yellow line. So now we're on the same orbital plane. See that it's catching up. So now we're going to have to do a little bit of an adjustment here because we're a little bit off. So I burn retrograde and that makes it farther away, so then I turn around and burn prograde, and we can line it up so that we get very close. We get a close approach of about a little bit less than a kilometer when we come back around on the next orbit. And from here I'm looking around drastically for it. I don't want to collide with it. So what we want to do is we want to nullify our speed relative to the space station by burning retrograde to it. We're going to bring our speed down to 0. We're going to point at it, and it's about 700 meters away, so we're going to burn towards it gently. We don't want to go too fast. We don't want to smash into it. So 5 meters a second should do, and then I turn around and get ready to slow down again as it gets closer. Speed up time a little bit, and you can see that it's getting very close. So we want to nullify our speed again relative to it. And now we're going to go ahead and aim for one of those 4 docking ports that we built into the habitation module. And I'm double checking my key bindings so that I push the right ones in the right order so I don't mess up the spaceship. So we got to get these heat shields out of the way. You can see how wobbly they are until they dock with each other. Now they're in a fixed position. So now we're going to use our RCS thrusters to maneuver ourselves and line up with that docking port. So we open the docking port on the space station, and our docking port on the refueler is open. So we're just going to kind of move down a little bit and get in position to thrust forward and dock. So we're going to use our RCS thrusters. We're going to point at the target, which is the magenta bullseye on our grav ball, and then we're going to maneuver our prograde marker and center it using our RCS thrusters, the I, J, K, L keys. And we're going to come in nice and slow. And then once you get close enough, the docking takes care of itself. So now we're going to transfer fuel from one tank to another. We're basically going to fill up the space station. And now the space station is full, and we still have enough fuel left over to escape the moon's gravity to get back to Earth, where we're going to use our heat shields to slow down and recircularize.